are you, sir? Go for it.
The one on the right, or is that the right? Yeah, advances.
Good morning. Thank you so much for letting me come and talk to you guys about one of the exciting ventures that we're doing. My name is Saurabh Gray, I'm a nephrologist. I practice in Roseville, California. And the first sports drink that we have is called MagNak. And I have only 6 minutes, so I'm going to stick to the time. So the mission statement of Grey Mountain is to introduce a healthier sports drink, which is for athletes who are engaged in intense workouts. The drink is rich in essential minerals and electrolytes, low in calories, and free of preservatives, artificial colors, and flavors. This is what got me really started. This is scary to me. When I look at this aisle, it spells diabetes, obesity, chronic kidney disease, heart disease, everything. If you look at some of these reviews, some of these are actually right on. One of the lines that really struck me was, devoted to nothing but freaky colored beverages. If you run across a scene like this in your grocery store, run the other way, and it's absolutely true. For those who are interested in a little bit more in-depth review, our Sports Drink Worth This Summer is a really good article in Texas Running Post. But the most important thing that you want to know is what's in it. Lots of people are picking this up in summertime. What are you drinking? Here's the problem. Most of these are very high in sugar. Average about 25 to 36 grams per bottle, 16-ounce bottle. They're high in calories. You know what it's linked to. I don't have to, it's very obvious. They are very poor in electrolytes, and this is where, when we look at these from a clinical perspective, we look at it and we say, oh my God, this is way too low. It's not going to enhance your performance. Artificial sweeteners. Recent data, scientific data suggests artificial sweeteners like sucralose, saccharin, really bad for your microbiome, for gut infection, C. diff colitis. They're highly concentrated and highly osmolar, which defies the purpose of absorbing quickly. And they're full of artificial colors, which has its own problems. So what is the result? You see an underhydrated athlete cramping, maybe after 15-20 minutes of intense exercise. You have people having bloating. So we saw that there was absolutely a need. To look at the market, sports drinks is about $6 to $8 billion in the billion-dollar industry. $8 billion, $8.6 billion last year. 80% of these drinks are dominated by Gatorade and Powerade. About Gatorade 70%, 10% is about Powerade. The rest of the 20% are, the market share is occupied by energy drinks. So you have Monster, Red Bull. There are some healthier drinks, Osmo Nutrition, Scratch Labs. These are all powdered drinks. You have to make them ahead of time. Noon, that comes in tablet. Some coconut water-based drinks, some electrolyte-based water, like Propel and Core. These drinks still do not address the fundamental problems. One, hydration, maybe they're getting close, but optimal electrolyte supplement, they don't. Most of these drinks are very deficient in magnesium, because the data on magnesium is about 20 years old, 25 years old. I call magnesium the missing mineral. What is magnesium? It's an electrolyte that maintains muscle contractility. Smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, regulates vascular tone, regulates blood pressure. The deficiency of magnesium is really important now because it causes severe muscle cramps, severe fatigue, cardiac arrhythmias in severe cases. Magnesium supplements are actually quite routinely used in very high doses in treating muscle cramps. If you've ever been to a physician who complained of muscle cramps, one of the things that you push is magnesium. And here's the problem, 90% of sports drinks still do not have magnesium in any meaningful proportion. So who is our target population? Actually, anyone who wants to drink healthy, anyone who works out. So serious athletes who are engaged in heavy workouts, young individuals, baby boomers who are health conscious now, elderly individuals with chronic diseases such as diabetes who don't want to rake in calories from sports drinks. So what would an ideal sports drink look like? This is what this was a concept that occurred to me in sometime about 6 to 8 months ago. It should be really low in sugar and calories. It should be rich in electrolytes. It should contain the missing elements, especially magnesium. It should not have artificial flavors. If you need color, it should be colored naturally. It should not have preservatives. should be caffeine free. Caffeine is a diuretic. It does not work well with hydration. It gives you a jolt. And it should be absorbed quickly. So it has to be thin and smooth enough that it gets in the system quickly. That brought us to this concept of formulating MagNak. So it's important to know, how does it compare, right? So the slide could be a lot bigger, but this is about 90% of the drinks right now in the market, if you compare it. Gatorade, Powerade, Body Armor. One of the things you'll see, MagNak is very rich in magnesium. It's still well under the daily intake. Daily intake of magnesium for healthy adults is about 400 milligrams a day. It's about 100 milligrams in a 16-ounce bottle. Sodium, I think most people have gotten right, except Body Armor has low sodium for some reason. Potassium, you don't lose too much potassium in sweat, by the way. You don't need to give too much potassium. Giving too much potassium with intense exercise has its own problems. So we kept the potassium where it needs to be. Low in sugar, low in calories, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, and caffeine free. So what are we doing with MagNak? Quite a lot of sales and marketing going on because the formulation is ready. It's available online. The marketing team, we have a pretty good brokerage marketing company who does natural and organic drinks. We're connecting with retailers, wholesalers, distribution partners. We have specific retail programs, promotional items, which is pretty standard in the industry. We have a sports company, a sports agency rather, with about 40 NBA athletes who are very interested in trying this out. So we have sent some of our samples to them. We have digital and social media marketing and advertising to select population, which is the great advantage of social media.
I'll let you go a little bit longer
Oh.
since we just have one.
So, just to give you a brief idea about organization, me and my wife, who's here, the founder, founded the company. We have most of it outsourced in Florida. We have a wonderful production and marketing partner at Nutrition Labs in Clearwater, Florida, with a full purchase department, QC department, full production facilities, full fulfillment department, into individual orders, to distribution and expansion distribution networks. And at the Northern California, we have a specific retail marketing coordinator who does retail and distribution. Timeline, just to quickly go over, the concept really was solidified in May. We were lucky, we found a really good production partner. We had a formula ready in about 3 months, and October was the first time we actually had everything done with the drink. We're currently online mainly because most of marketing and advertising has actually started about 2 weeks ago. It's only been about a month since we actually went public. We expect in February to March to have our product on the retail shelf, and then we will expand because this is really a summer item. When we have 100 degrees heat, that's when people really look for sports drink. We expect sales to be pretty good during the summertime, and that's when we're really looking at in terms of where the funding comes in. So we have enough investments right now. We have angel investors who would probably be pitching in sometime between January and February once it's when it's available on the shelves, and then based on how we do, about 10 months from now, we're going to look for West Coast and maybe national distributors. Okay. Future plans for Green Mountains. We are very interested in making a healthy natural sports drink for kids, which is low in sugar, low in calories. MagNak electrolyte shots, and then my personal interest is in making a preventive drink for patients suffering from kidney stones, because there is nothing in the market right now that has important ingredients we need. Okay. I'm sorry I'm a little bit over, but that's pretty much the gist.
We'll cut you some slack today.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for that presentation. The first thing we'd like to ask before we open it up is how can this community, how can the people in the room help you advance your company?
Well, I can see most of them are pretty athletic, so try our drink. That's first, and spread the word. Because I'll tell you, I mean, we can look at the slide, but if you really look at what you want to drink, what healthy thing you can drink. I've been into C-stores and I've walked out shaking my head that I can't drink these juices, I can't drink this colored, This is something that I see that you can drink because you don't have to worry about sugars or calories or things or artificial colors or sweeteners that you don't really, don't fancy. This has exactly what you need in the right proportion, and it has a very big safety margin because you can drink 2 or 3 of these within 10 seconds without worrying about it.
So where can they purchase it?
So, like I said, we are about a month old, really, when all of this was getting done, So there are a couple of stores that we know are interested in doing this. Whole Foods and natural stores really like something natural, So I am guessing in about 2 to 3 months, because they have the review every quarter about the beverages, we should be on the shelves in quite a few stores. So right now we're only available online.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they can
on our
purchase
website, yes.
on your website.
Yes, on the website.
And if you make it into Whole Foods, does that mean you make it, is it Amazon who bought Whole Foods?
Yes. Not necessarily. Whole Foods still does a lot of introductory drinks in a region. And then based on how you do, they would expand distribution into whether you want it in California. The concept is, if you're doing well, that's not, the expansion is not a big issue. But we started with breaking it into Southern California. We did have a West Coast distributor who was interested, but we were not ready for it, so we wanted to move slower.
Okay. All right, I'll open it up to general questions.
First of all, great job on the presentation. You explained the pump really well. Second, I think there might be some synergy with another local startup here. Trifecta Systems is all natural organic meal delivery service, and they have hit the affiliate marketing and have tons of contacts in the professional athletes and sports.
Okay.
So Greg Connolly at Trifecta Systems might be a cool synergy for you guys.
Thank you. Trifecta.
Trifecta
Okay.
Systems.
Well, definitely.
They have an office in West Side of
Okay.
And either Jeff or I
we
can
can thank
introduce you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you.
So if you're a local startup, Walmart has programs that will highlight local entrepreneurs and startups and dedicate like a whole week to highlighting your product. So the process is very simple. You go find the local Walmart that you want to set up shop in, set an appointment with the store manager. They are incentivized to get deals like this. They actually get bonused if it works out, so they will work with you to give you the best shot possible. And so that's a good starting point. The other one is IRSA, so International Health Racket Sport Trade Show, the largest trade show for health and fitness in the world. Happens once a year somewhere between Las Vegas and Southern California.
Okay.
The booths can be expensive, so you may not want to go that route at first. You may want to just go down as somebody with some products, set up shop in the local bar, the lounge area, and bring club owners over to you and give them a pitch. But it's where you need to be for something like that.
Yeah.
Because I worked at California Family Fitness for years and years and years. That's another good avenue, is pitching the individual chains of sports and health clubs. If you can give them a good deal, and if it flies off the shelf, they'll re-up it, and it's a good way to get awareness started.
So to follow up on that, I think we have talked to California Health and Fitness, 24-hour fitness. We have, Lifetime has not returned. Yes, and then we are partnering with a local martial arts academy, which also promotes early stage MMA fighters.
Yeah.
So I think we should be pretty close to getting to actually having our drinks up there. We are going to have a booth at the California International Marathon, about 10,000 people running that show. So we are at the expo with the booth and tasting station there. And so that's predominantly what we have until December, and then we're looking into Spartan Race sometime in March at San Jose, because we want to go a little bit to the Bay Area too, show the product. So yes, but the Walmart that's a good idea.
Yeah, trade shows for this type of thing is the way to go. It's where you get the quickest bang for your buck. You'll get it in multiple distribution channels through one visit. You know what I mean? The other one you want to look into is In Shape. I think they're closing in on 100. They're based out of Stockton, so that's why CalFit, and and Shape are both good because they're local. You can approach them, you can get to the top brass right away. But I think they're closing in on 100 clubs in Northern California, spanning from Central California all the way up to the Oregon border.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
What's been the user interaction or feedback? You know, the taste of the drink, performance, et cetera. I know you're just starting off.
Yeah, so, well, 9 out of 10, and I think you're welcome to try it out too, by the way. It should really be chilled, but 9 out of 10 have found this really delicious. The only person who felt that no, this is a little bit too sweet, because I'm not a sweet tooth. It is sweetened with monk fruit and a little bit of stevia. But I personally think, and again, you know, the taste is a personal opinion, but I think the feedback for the palate has been really good. One of the things that people have said is it's very smooth to drink. Lots of sports drinks, when you drink it, you take a sip and you really have to settle it down. And the reason for that is they're really high osmolar. The sugar content is really high. Osmosis, by principle, you have to, when your blood osmolality is high because of dehydration, the drink has to be low osmolar for it to absorb. Otherwise, if you put so much sugar in, you're actually going to have fluid drawn into the gut, which causes bloating, which is really the principle of bloating. So that part is completely nullified. Our drink is somewhere around 150 osmolality per kilogram, as opposed to Gatorade is about 350. Okay, so it's very lighter. Blood osmolality at the most is about 300 when you're really dehydrated. So if you put Gatorade at 350 and your blood osmolality at its peak is 300, you're never going to get enough absorption, right?
Yeah, so unfortunately, you know, that makes sense, but to the average consumer, average athlete, you're going to get lost in the noise. Right?
Exactly. So that's the thing.
How many consumers, how many people have provided you feedback? You said 9 out of 10.
We have about
20 friends, family, or was it more of?
More than that. We have 10 blinded athletes who are at a tennis club, who basically we give. My partner gave it to them, didn't tell them that it's ours. Said found it. Then we had 4 or 5 other tennis players. We have about 15 MMA. So I'm saying about 70.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's good. And then I think Patrick gave you some good suggestions. I'm glad you're at CIM. For those running athletes, I can see where if you show up with local sports, TBF, a bunch of other local sports, I'm sure they're willing to work with you to put them a top 10 and get people to really try that.
I may want to add this one thing which you probably missed. It's the first grab-and-go drink with magnesium in it.
Yes.
Because all the other magnesium supplements that people take, they have to take it as a tablet or a powder that they mix with water when they are out in the woods or hiking and stuff like that. And when people are hiking, they don't want to carry too many different things or supplement with a banana or an energy bar and all those. So this is the first one that has magnesium in it that you can just take a bottle and drink it.
Yes.
You don't have to take a tablet.
At a good proportion. The Body Armor has it, but Body Armor has 38 grams of sugar. So, and it only has 40 milligrams of sodium in a 16-ounce bottle. Principal electrolyte to lose sweat is sodium. It's not
Yeah,
potassium.
you've got a bunch of messages that really have to, just the first level soundbite,
Yes.
magnesium. And I just read an article in Runner's World, they talked about the aspects of magnesium, so I think that may be the new thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Your competitors can add magnesium pretty quickly.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
So then you get into your secondary messages about your blood osmosis. I mean, that's maybe your third message. But, I'm glad to see you guys launching one.
One thing is the relationship of magnesium with ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. That's the energy molecule. So you drink it, you feel energetic. Yeah, ATP.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we experienced this on our own when we were out hiking in Zion. It was 95 degrees, and I'm not a big hiker. Let me admit that first. But I was out there for 10 hours, and we kept sipping on it. And at 8 o'clock, we were ready to go again the next day without having any cramping. And we've experienced that from other MMA fighters who closely work with us at the Martial Arts Academy.
Recovery aspects.
Recovery
Yes,
aspect is
nice
really
recovery
good.
aspects as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
I want to say I really liked your presentation and all the outreaches you're talking about doing with sports clubs, martial arts, and all the other items. But I kind of wanted to give a word of warning. A lot of people, when they go into I guess, food distribution. Their goal is to go and try to get this, like every Safeway or every sort of Safe Mart. I would recommend heading against that because you can spend a lot of money, and your guys' value is explaining magnesium, sodium, and the potassium and why it's better over the other ones, which you can do at a martial arts school, you can do that at a gym, you can do that to an athlete or at a sports club. But if you're at a Safe Mart or something like that where you paid to be there, they're now looking at you right next to another sports drink, which might have a much lower price point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they might not understand the difference, and when they're going there, they're saying like, well, I don't really know it's really that important that I have magnesium. This one has a little bit of magnesium, but it also has more, I think, potassium on one of them. So you're going to spend a lot of energy going at one area and go to places where you can, like you're going right now, and not fall for the seductiveness of, hey, you can be all over the West Coast at, Safe Mart or Safeway.
So that's one of the things we've had constant discussions with. This is where the marketing brokerage team comes in, because they exactly know. They pull up one thread and say, oh, no, you don't want to put it here because number one, your margin is going to be less. And if you look at here, this is all about pricing. So if you look at the newer drinks that have come in, Berry Pro, for example, it's completely plant-based, organic, health drink. They're only in Whole Foods. They don't want to go anywhere else. There are some that are only in Lunardi's and Milestones, in natural specialty stores. The reason is pretty clear, because they cater to a different population. And again, if you're looking at an $8 billion industry, 10% of that is about 800 million. You have enough people who are interested. Even if 10% of people are real athletes who really want to drink well when they actually work out, you still have a huge market. Noon is only about less than 0.5% of the industry, and it's sponsoring most of the races around Northern California and West Coast. So it is a huge market for people who are health conscious, who want to do things right. There are right products. And the idea of this is multifold. One is that there are certain elements that are missing which can benefit you. Magnesium, there's a lot of data in the last 10 years, by the way, and it's scientifically proven. But you don't have this in a formulation. We do this a lot in the hospital. People are admitted, we put electrolyte solutions, do it in pharmacy, but there's nothing ready to do or ready to drink. Part of the thing is magnesium is quite bitter, especially when it mixed with potassium chloride, potassium citrate, so you really have to flavor it nicely. And that's where our friend who's been doing this for 35 years, that's really was his expertise. He could really flavor anything, any salt, to taste good. And in my opinion, if you try it out, it actually tastes quite nice and light.
So kind of on the business side, you mentioned, did you say you have some investors who are interested?
So we were part of, Sutter and Kaiser and Roseville and Granite Bay is about 150 physician communities. And I look at it, everyone's looking at it and say, wow, yeah, we would love to invest in something that this is meaningful. So we have at least about 10 to 11 angel investors who essentially, when we say it's some of it's a legal issue of drafting the contracts right, that's what we're waiting for. But we have enough angel investors to do this, to get it out, get it even through a wider spectrum within the West Coast. Then would be the next step. I think we're good with that until that point.
Are there any regulatory issues, or is there any kind of approvals you need to get?
It is registered with the FDA, the
Yes.
drink formulation. That's one of the first things.
It's similar to vitamins and supplements. And if this is a nutritional product, it has to be registered with the FDA, which is done. It has to be manufactured in an FDA-registered facility with a GMP practices, which is what it is. The supplements per se are not regulated by the FDA. It's the same thing with, you'll see 300 milligrams of caffeine in Red Bull, but it's not regulated.
Couple questions.
Are you just focusing on doing it in the bottle, or is there, you'll ever do like a concentrate of some sort?
Oh yeah, we are
The shot.
open to everything based on how the feedback is. Concentrate is one thing because it's easier, it can mass
Yeah,
produce,
I mean,
and shipping is
it's hard to have, 30 or 40 of those at home. When I have all my workout stuff in little jars, it,
Yeah.
saves a lot of space.
Absolutely. We're
And it saves plastic bottles.
plastic bottles. We also want to get into, cans because cans are almost 60-70% recyclable. So it's most cost effective as well. Again, this is a start, but we're looking into a lot of that. Electrolyte shots is also an interest because a lot of times people feel hydrated, especially high altitude hiking. So that's kind of one of my interests to do it. If you look at sport, what kids want to drink, you take your kids to soccer and exercise, and they're either drinking water or diluted Gatorade or juices.
Yeah.
There's nothing lightly flavored with a little bit of electrolytes for them. So that's a huge market. That's even bigger market than the adults.
And zero magnesium.
And zero magnesium problem. Yeah.
And this is good for people 12 and above, so we are trying to target populations that are, kids who start to play at age 4 through 12, that would be the MagNak kids. which we're trying to
Yes,
target.
this is intentionally kept more for legal basis, but the total dietary intake even for an 8-year-old child is about 220 milligrams. So this is 100 milligrams in a bottle. So my 8-year-old boy drinks this all the time. So there's no real issue, but when you talk to being in medicine, hence being mainly legal business than medicine, we always want to make sure that we do it right because we don't want hypermagnesemia in a child who would later have problems. So kid formulation is going to have lesser electrolytes. Yes.
Couple of questions. So, what's your capacity to be able to scale quickly with your bottling manufacturer? And 2, how many points do they take off in that category in like grocery stores, out of curiosity? And then also, suggestion, somebody with a similar product, it wasn't health, but it was like a sugar-free Red Bull. They had tremendous success selling to casinos and to hotel casinos.
Yes.
So this as their recovery solution to be placed in the rooms for
That's
after
what somebody
hard-
suggested to us,
Yeah.
that this
I have
would be a
had that
perfect
suggestion
hangover
by
drink.
so many people.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that's
The sooner they recover, the sooner they're on the floor spending more money.
Back again.
absolutely.
So
So we are
different type of athlete,
That's so it's good for the casino, it's good for us.
Yeah.
So yes, that's absolutely. You're probably the 10th person.
It just has to not be in a bottle, then it has to have a better glass.
Yeah.
We'll ship it up really nice. Scaling up, we are able to do up to 240,000 bottles within a period of 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Not a problem. Higher orders, if you end up with Costco, it's always tier 2 or tier 3. At that time there's 2 ways of doing it. Our production partner would handle mainly the southeast and the east coast, and then we will have to look up, which we know who we could look up, but something either in the Midwest or on the West Coast. Because beyond 240,000, every 2 weeks would be very, very different. But that's a very good problem to have.
Yeah, I've just seen a lot of companies not be able to fulfill orders, and they're killed before they even get off the ground because of their ability to not be able to scale. So, cool, good. I'm glad you get that figured out.
Last question.
Yeah. What is your kind of long-term exit strategy for this product line?
That's a great question. Now, if this works really great, I do want to develop all the things that I really want to develop. One of the main things is absolutely about having something really nice for kids, and 2, at the minimum, a drink for the kidney stone patients. So the drink per se, it depends on who is interested. If we are able to get it to the West Coast and we have someone very interested in whether investing into it or if it's going to be a long-term merger acquisition, we're not opposed to it because I'm a more than full-time physician. I love my job, and she's a full-time scientist and she loves the job. So we are very happy. We want to see this drink, a healthier drink, in the market. That was the whole purpose of this. So in terms of long-term, a lot of it will determine as to how this goes.
The success of it, yeah.
The success of it. We are definitely poised to get this running into the market. And beyond that, of course, we're going to have someone real, someone, some CEO doing this, going to multiple booths, doing all of that, and we're prepared to do that. We have just launched it now, and to be honest, we're learning a lot. That's every day we're learning something, what we can do and what we can't do. So.
All right, and then just
for years we've just talked health and disease, so it's the first time we're actually looking at words like advertising and marketing, and we're very close.
It's kind of shocking, isn't it? Med school is one thing and marketing is another. Just as a comment, right, you got a lot of ideas in terms of how to position the drink, and you've talked about a lot of the scientific benefits. Maybe reaching out to some of the industry experts and press where they can spend the time and try and communicate the health benefits and the the hydration benefits to get to that level of detail. So you do your Runner's World, your sports drinks, all those experts in the industry that can write about your drink and communicate the next level of benefits that you've talked about. So start small, start building that niche, and then get the benefits out there communicated via those types of articles rather than going 5 different market segments.
That's a really good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.